What advice would you give to biotechs that perhaps don't have high profile or any, for that matter, partnerships with companies like Roche and Astellas, but who are I mean, who's not interested in that, right? But
Yeah.
um, is it, I mean, do these things kind of, is the seed planted at events like ASGCT and AACR? Is it,
Oh,
or,
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely. No, I think that's where these kinds of conferences are incredibly important because everybody is there. So, you will have, I mean, you'll have a lot, the physicians who are attending the conferences for sure, but you'll also have all the industry people there. So you will have the scientific and medical experts, from companies that might be candidates for partnering. You will also have all of their business development people and their diligence teams. And it's a different experience than just, finding their data later on, because, people have the ability to go up to the poster and ask questions, of the people presenting right there. Or, if it's an oral presentation, right after that oral presentation, they're there asking questions, engaging in dialogue. And sometimes very unexpected things come out of it. I mean, ASGCT was probably the most recent experience for us, which was a lot of our genetic medicines work that we hadn't really shared before, and people didn't really understand how far we had advanced with those tools. We were just mobbed. The poster session was supposed to be 2 hours long. We had different posters on different days. Every single one of them went 12 to 7. And a lot of it was, you know, people from biopharma companies, large and small, all sizes, um, you know, trying to understand what we were doing, and many conversations sparking on from that afterwards. We don't know if there's a way to work together here, but you know maybe there is. Maybe we're interested in your asset, or we have this technology, you have that technology, maybe they're complementary. Let's pursue this. So there's certainly a path. It certainly is work. I don't want to say it's magically all comes together and poof.
sure.
No, but I do think, to your point, these conferences and industry events are the perfect place to meet the right people and start that dialogue.
Yeah. What's a couple more questions, and I'll respect your time. I know I'm starting to abuse it a little bit.
I'm all
What's
yours, Matt, all yours.
I appreciate that. What's your advice? Some advice around what not to do. Like, you get the perception, if you don't have something fantastic, is it worth going? Is it worth taking that time and presenting that poster? And that could be a completely wrong perception because there's opportunity for everyone. But is there sort of do you have some thoughts around like what's not a good idea if you're looking to attract partnership and perhaps use that venue as a vehicle to it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Staying home and hoping people will come to you is probably, not likely to be a winning strategy, because the world is a very complicated place. People have to go digging for information. It's a lot easier now. We have, many ways of searching information that we didn't have before, but we also have a lot more information. It's a very crowded information, landscape. And so, hoping that, that potential partners are going to just discover what you're doing, not being proactive about it is, I mean, it might work, but you're certainly not putting the odds in your favor, I would say. So,
Hmm.
I think interest in talking with people, genuine interest in learning, and it can be very open, right? Like, what are you looking for? If there's not a there, then great. You have to be prepared for that conversation. But sometimes you just don't know what people are really going to be interested in or what they're going to be motivated by. And they also don't know to seek you out. So I just had one conversation comes vividly to mind where, a potential partner company had been looking very much for a technology like ours, had actually made it a company mandate. And they had talked to many, many companies, but they actually hadn't talked to us because they just assumed maybe our dance card was full, or, just hadn't come around to, to get to us.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until we reached out to them, say, I have no idea if you have interest in the kinds of projects that we're working on or not, that we heard, oh, actually, we're looking exactly, for this type of technology and opportunity. Gee, I didn't realize we hadn't talked to you before. So, I think maybe it sounds a little, I don't know, trite, like, just get yourself out there. But I think that is, a part of it. And I don't think you have to have earth-shattering data. There, you can also be a taker in of information, right? So maybe you go to the conference, you see what everybody else is doing, and maybe that sparks an idea. Maybe it's the missing piece for your technology that you didn't know was out there, right? Same thing happens to us. Oh, did you know this company has this that could be, really quite useful?
Yeah, that's very helpful. I appreciate that. What's next for you? I'm gonna wrap it up here because, like I said, I want to be respectful of your time. I feel like we could go on for another hour. Um, but what's next? What's next for you? What's next for Poseida in terms of business development or clinical activity? What are you most excited about right now?
Well, it's going to be an absolutely jam-packed second half of the year for us. It's rare to be, for a company to, I think, to have so much data coming out, packed into a relatively short period of time. I mean, all three clinical programs, we're going to give data updates. So, we're very excited about that. We're going to have an R&D day as well on the cell therapy side. We had one for genetic medicines in the spring. So, you're really going to hear a lot from Poseida in the second half. So that's certainly a priority. We continue to, seek interesting partnerships. We've been very clear about that. It's been our MO for a long time. We would be so excited to do something in the area of genetic medicines. We have no partnerships active there, right now on any of the programs. That's an obvious area where, we would be thrilled to talk to people. So, I think those are some of the things that are ahead. In terms of what's exciting, and where's my focus, I am genuinely thrilled to come to work each day. I just really believe that Poseida, like I said before, is the real deal, and is a wonderful place to be. We say that our medicines have the capacity to cure. It's kind of one of our taglines, capacity to cure. And so I feel like my focus right now is really on execution and making sure that we prove that out, that we continue to move these programs ahead. We deliver the data that, shows the world that these medicines do indeed have the capacity to do that, and that they will be the kinds of medicines that, as I said, are going to be available to far more patients who could benefit from them than we've been able to make available the kinds of advanced therapies that we have today. So, that's where you're going to find me, right here, trying to make sure that happens.
Yeah, it's an important differentiator. I was thinking about what you said around being able to produce an allogeneic therapy that's at least as good as the autologous therapies on the market. And, without that differentiator of being a company that can change the cost and accessibility paradigm in this particular space, sometimes just as good as isn't good enough. But that's giant in this space, isn't it? I mean, it's just a
Yes.
big deal.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, today we think, a very small subset of patients who could be receiving CAR Ts are actually getting them, something, I mean, you hear different projections anywhere from 5 to maybe, 15%. But that's just in kind of very late line setting, kind of, heavily pretreated patients. They've already seen lots of different lines of therapies. We now know that CAR Ts have tremendous benefit, if used really early in disease. We've got, survival data from some of the on-market products, that are really demonstrating this. But we're having trouble meeting, manufacturing enough to meet the patient need, even for the smaller patient populations in late line disease. Well, now when we clearly see that they could benefit so many patients in early line disease, you know, there's just no way to bridge that math. You have to have production at scale that's, going to make enough product to serve the needs of these patients. And that's just in oncology. We're all now also really very excited about the potential opportunity for cell therapy to treat various autoimmune diseases, which is another area that I'm very passionate about. Kind of come from an autoimmune disease, family. So it's, some of those diseases are terrible. And the therapies are also terrible. So to have a CAR T kind of one and done approach for patients with those diseases is also incredibly exciting. Well, let me tell you, the patient populations in those diseases dwarf the patient populations in oncology. And some of these products are the same products that you would use. So if we can't meet patient need today for small patient populations in oncology, what are we going to do when we have data that shows that patients could be benefiting for these much larger patient populations? So that's why we, say the future really is allo. It has to be allo, but the burden is on us as an industry and on Poseida to show that the right kind of allogeneic CAR T can absolutely do that.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly got the energy and the passion and obviously some great science to move that ball downfield. And you're a fantastic advocate for it. So I wish you luck. I thank you so much for coming on the show with me and entertaining my meandering and rambling questions.
Oh, thank you so much, Matt. It's been my absolute pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much.
I hope we can do it again soon. Maybe after the data readouts later in the year.
Absolutely.
Maybe top half of 25, we'll get back together and talk about some of that data.
That would be great.